Okay, YouTube, this is Acid Roots. I've got Coal Chamber's Chamber Music Review. So this release was on the verge of their breakout, which pretty much means, anytime you have 4 singles released, that's usually a good thing. Now, only one of these managed to chart, and that was Shock the Monkey. But otherwise, this release, it felt as if their best days were yet to come. Now, this is particularly damning just because after their 2002 album, Dark Days, they broke up. So really, the worst part of all that was they only dropped one single from that 2002 album. They had some creative differences and arguments and altercations while on tour, and just in general, some of the band members left, and it just caused a bunch of dismay in the group, and they were not around after 2002. Now, the big thing is that unfortunately their latest album came out in 2015. Now, you may be wondering what the band members kept up with in between, and I reviewed their 2015 album Rivals, but Dez Fafara was in a group called Devil Driver, and he pretty much started being with them as of 2003, which in the beginning it did nu metal, but then it adapted to death metal and groove metal and that sort of thing. So that's where the lead vocalist from that went. But besides their 2002 album, the next thing that happened was in 2003 they released a compilation record which had some remixes and unreleased tracks, and then that was it. And they implicitly stated that they weren't coming back. And 13 years is quite a large gap between releases. So they said that once again they're going back to Devil Driver, so who knows what's going to happen. But big thing about this release is all the songs that came out. You had the Ozzy Osbourne features song, Shock the Monkey. You had Not Living. You had Tyler's song. And one other song that charted. Now, virtually the only problem with this is that none of these songs really broke radio. And I can't really be certain how many of these songs received airplay. But they are definitely aired up and good to go. The thing about this release is it feels as if it's kind of one of those records that you don't want to recommend first off, but once you've gotten to know someone well enough that you're past being formal and you're past the formalities and all that, this is definitely a said release that you can just have a late night to. And I do, nights of, and just plain having a good time versus the initial type stuff. So that's one of these said records that does that. It's mostly because I don't know too many radio. I don't know if radio plays these songs. I have yet to hear Coal Chamber on the radio, but this record still has a lot of quality to it. So the whole thing is with this record is the thing about these guys is they did, most of the time they only managed to get one song out, but we really could have used something to exploit this release a lot better. That seemed to be the greatest thing that they needed, was just better promotion. And as you listen to the songs, it has the guitar, the instrumentation down, but it does not feel as memorable as it could have. Like Limp Bizkit, soars over this group despite the fact that people probably like Coal Chamber more. But I feel like the true problem was just that there's not enough room in the rock charts for everyone. And this is one of said groups. There may have been lots of metal and rock around at the time, but I think, too many people, too many cooks in the kitchen is basically what it was. So I'm going to list a few of the songs. I did wind up liking about 10 or 11 out of 15. So I will list those, and then I'll list the immediate highlights. So they are No Home, Tragedy, El Cucuy, Untrue, Tyler's Song, What's in Your Mind, Not Living, Shock the Monkey, Entwined, My Mercy, Notion, and Anything But You. So those are just a few. I ended up liking Tragedy less than I initially did, but other than that, most of the songs stand true. So Untrue and My Mercy are some of the more Korn-sounding songs. And this group does kind of have like an eeriness to them, which I do appreciate, especially My Mercy. That's an extremely good one. Shock the Monkey is a song that has Ozzy Osbourne on it. And that one kind of feels ghoulish also, but it does have traces of rock in there. So that one, you know, if they could have made like 3 more songs like that, but did it in a way that, you know, could be more commercial, it probably would have worked a lot well. And I like the approach that they went with this. Tyler's Song and Not Living were some of the rock-based ones. And, you know, they do handle this well. So they can make songs. They definitely have the idea and the songwriting to do it. But I think the execution was like the only problem. But to my, you know, I'm not super professional in rock radio. So these songs may have well gotten airplay. And if that's the case, you know, you can boost some of the score a lot further. But, so 10, 11, 12 out of 15. We'll say 11 out of 15. That's basically like a 9.5 out of 10. The only reason I'm not giving it a 10 is because it didn't have that huge single. And the Social Score, I will give an 8 out of 10 because it did have 4 of them, 4 radio songs, but we didn't get a runaway one. So, like I said, this is more once the formalities have evaporated, you know, that it's an easier album to play. But, you know, the Social Score means how well it plays around your friends. So the future, I would just look to Devil Driver, because that's where the lead vocalist is. They dropped an album. Coal Chamber dropped an album in 2015. If you do need more, I'd say they'll probably be back at some point, but don't hold your breath. And can this record be topped? Not really. Subscribe for more fun.